We live in a time where there are no rules, okay? If a cop universe directed by Rohit Shetty is getting developed, put bloody Chulbul Pandey in the mix, who just seems to have stepped out of his Big Boss shooting with little to no effort in staying consistent with world building. You are creating a third installment of Bhool Bhulaiyaa, which is anyway a successor of a sequel that had nothing to do with the first film. Then of course we will cherry pick what we love about the franchise and absolutely abandon what doesn't sit right with us. So we hold on to Rohan, played by Kartik Aaryan, because he is relevant in the Hindi market right now, and we let go of his girlfriend Reet, played by Kiara Advani, because well, Bhabhi 2 is the popular actress in demand with commercial Hindi cinema. We did our own spin with the spirit of Manjulika by making it a vengeful sister story in the sequel, absolutely abandoning the interesting way we adapted the Malayalam film and made it about a complex issue of mental health. So how do we keep the name Manjulika relevant if we want to squeeze out as much sauce as we can while people are still interested in horror films in theaters? Just create another Manjulika tale with Rohan, and just for cool recall value, make the three misfit pundits return, because why not? There are no rules. So here we are, a completely fresh story with Kartik Aaryan in the mix, because when a franchise is popular, we churn out as many installments as we can with little to no connection with the previous films until the box office revenue becomes completely stale. In Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, directed by Anis Bazmi, we have Rohan, who is a scam artist projecting himself to be a ghost hunter, capitalizing on the fear of the general public regarding spirits and the realm beyond mortals. When Meera, played by Tripti Dimri, a descendant from a royal family, approaches him for his assistance, we are transported to Raktaghat. Oh, sorry, it's Roktoghat, because the film is really authentic about its Bengali pronunciation. The revelations that take place as Rohan understands the history of the royal family, its desperate need to sell the Mahal, the existence of Vidya Balan and Madhuri Dixit, and how it all ties into a traumatic past and the existence of a spirit, forms the basic storyline of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3. Here's me telling you the good and bad aspects of the film so that you guys can ultimately decide whether to watch Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 in theaters or not. The problem with comedic gags. The film is a mixed bag in its entirety, where the gags are a hit and a miss and the horror is almost non-existent. I remember discussing with all of you while watching the trailer of this film that it seems like the creators have done a full tilt towards it becoming more or less a comedy film. And it is true, but the result is much like a stand-up set with an up-and-coming comic. Lots of hits and misses. I'll tell you what the major issue I felt with the writing was, especially with its gags, and this trend seems slightly concerning with Hindi comedies. The problem is that the comedic gags are all references to meme or pop culture, rather than actually extracting humor from the circumstances in the film. So you've got gags that land which include a reference to Kawwa Wala Biryani, a throwaway reference to Majnu Bhai's painting, a Netflix invisible force that comes out of nowhere just to use the opening tudum sound, a self-aware ode to Kartik Shehzada failure, the Z horror tune playing as Rohan's ringtone, and a Jawan gag that I hope T-Series had the blessing from Red Chillies to utilize, because we don't want another Vicky Vidya and Stree debacle. But do you get what I am saying? These are all references to the world outside of Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3, whereas the comedy should lie among the characters within the universe. And when it does try that, the gags fall flat, mostly resorting to physical comedy like the Three Stooges, where characters are being punched or slapped around. So while you've got actors who ace it with their comic timing, including the likes of Vijay Raj, Rajpal Yadav, Sanjay Mishra and Rajesh Sharma, it just is not that laugh out loud film that I wish it was. And the gags go on for far too long, prolonging the film's running time of 2 hours and 38 minutes. That could have easily been trimmed heavily. Moments of flair. One of the clear and distinct merits of the film are its visual effects and color provided by Red Chillies. There are a lot of sequences that are carried out at night with the visuals of a full moon, which is aesthetically showcased with this blue hue that transitions to become red as the evil spirit lingers around the corner. And even though this use of particles in the air has become rampant with Hindi cinema, it did provide a technical flair, especially to the concluding moments of the film. The climax could have been far worse had its technical quality been off the mark, as it's heavily dependent on special effects. Those who have seen the film would know what I'm exactly talking about. Other than that, the production design of the Mahal, the costumes of the beautiful women, I can't fault it at all. The film holds on to its spooky nature, has moments where it's grimy and uncomfortable, but still has this opulence when showcasing the royal family in its heyday 200 years ago. Technically, the film is made for the big screen, and mind I say, looks far better than Singham Again. Dragging running time. As I previously said, the running time of the film could have easily been chopped by 15 to 20 minutes, and this is especially true with the integration of music and the maker's odd need to force a romance between Kartik Aaryan and Tripti Dimri. Both the songs Jano Samjhona and Be Irada could have easily been avoided, and what's crazy is that in retrospect, the romance also does not really have an impact on the grand scheme of things. When I also observed that Tripti was barely a part of the marketing of the film, it almost seems inconsequential entirely. As the running minutes passed by, I actually felt bad for Tripti because of what she was reduced to in this film. Just a heroine who ogles at Kartik and features in some of the songs. What's also very sad is that the gags keep on continuing, and the frustration you feel as a viewer is that you should get to the point of the origin story so that you have time to expand on it. But the makers ensure to do one comedic gag after the other with the trio that involves literally roaming around in circles of the Mahal to eventually information dump the hell out of the context of Manjulika. The horror elements are nothing but throwaway dreams that take away from the potential of this film to be a good marriage between comedy and horror. You left it far too late, and more on that later. The cast. Many people ask me, why is Kartik doing Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3? Why isn't he experimenting? Why is he trying to be a one-trick pony? Do you know how tough it is to survive as an outsider and a leading commercial hero in this industry? You know how much of an achievement it is to clash with Bollywood biggies and open a film on such a huge scale? I honestly feel proud of him and get it, because with commercial success comes power to take creative decisions. Otherwise, all of this is meaningless. Kartik with this film in 2 days will surpass the lifetime collection of Chandu Champion. So can I really blame him? He does everything under the sky in this film and is mostly entertaining. But as I referenced, the film should have spent more time on its core, which is the origin story. That would have made the otherwise flat but shocking reveal more effective. In my opinion, they really did Madhuri Dixit dirty in this film because her character is so underwritten that the biggest highlight of her appearance is her grace and expressions in Ami J Tomar 3.0. Vidya Balan, in my opinion, shines the brightest from the cast. Yes, it does get oddly over the top when there are moments where Vidya channelizes the Manjulika voice, in sharp contrast actually to the horror she brought to us as Avni reached her manic stage, but there is a curiosity, a mischievousness about her demeanor that really piques your interest in this film. But my biggest gripe is this: na idhar, na udhar. See, what I want to tell the makers is, you can't have it both ways. You can't tell me to not take the movie so seriously. Yaar, it's just a regular horror comedy. And also say, hey, it's a film with a social message also, okay? You provide a shocking climax. Yes, I'll give it to you there. But something that needs way more nuance and time to be explored. The topic revealed in the climax is very complex, is actually very brave by the makers to even explore. Something that I would find is tough for the general public to even accept as a concept. But such a topic requires way more depth and, more importantly, sincerity by the makers. Because it's resolved so easily, and you know the reality is very different. You can't have it both ways. Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 hence becomes a mixed bag in its entirety, with most of the gags missing and the horror elements, well, barely causing fear within me. They were saying that it is the battle of mid this Diwali. I can definitely call Bhool Bhulaiyaa 3 mid. But Singham Again is